Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Toolhouse Rock, powered by the Ecosystem cluster. Yeah, today we have a really interesting project that I'll be talking in the next couple of seconds. But first, what is Toolhouse Rock? So yeah, the idea of this call is to bring forward different projects, different tools, different applications that can potentially help different scopes or different actors within Maker. So that's what we're trying to the niche we're trying to cover right here on this fortnightly calls. Some obvious and boring disclaimers. Our views are our own. We do not represent Maker. There are a lot of possible inaccuracies as a lot of content is changing almost in real time. There's no financial advice, no legal advice. Everything's for research and education purposes. And with that in mind, let's dive deeper into Bubblemaps. So I'm going to let Nikki speak more about Bubblemaps. We've been checking out a couple of his demos, and it looks actually quite nice. But just to give you a bit of context where we think that it might help more. So these are the scopes and its frameworks, right? And we believe that they might help the most with the growth part and potentially the interface part. And I guess we could include some of like the voting part or anything that has to do with the analysis. I'm not going to, or I'll try to not ruin it. But okay, this is a bit embarrassing. Oh, there's a transparency thingy. Yeah, this is a bit on the areas that we believe that Bubblemaps could improve, so education and transparency, especially in terms of on-chain voting. So with that, and without any further ado, I give you Nikki. Hopefully I didn't butcher too much the intro, and you can do a better job at explaining what you guys do.
Of course, Juan. Thank you so much, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here today for the number 2, the second edition of this emission. And yeah, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Bubblemaps, which is an interactive way of exploring blockchain data. I would say a brand new vision for blockchain data, because if you look at the current landscape of the analytical tools, they're often very complex and appeal to a technical audience. So our goal here is to make it accessible to the masses by making it interactive, playful, and even create a gamified experience for on-chain data. And that's what Bubblemaps is all for. Juan, shall I share my screen and go through the deck?
Yeah, please. Deck, demo, whatever you need. We actually have, I think, 2 delegates, if I'm counting right here. So they are potentially the best people to ask you and drill you with the different questions and ask you how the demo works.
Awesome. Very cool. So I'm super happy to be actually doing this with Maker, because you guys are a decentralized autonomous organization. And recently we've been covering what happened with Uniswap and A16Z, how they might have a greater influence on their governance. And actually, I might have a couple of questions for you guys as well. But let's wait a couple seconds. Let me go through the basics. So this is Bubblemaps, and the main point, as I said, is that on-chain data is too complex and appeal to technical user base. So what we do is that we reimagine blockchain data in a colorful and interactive way, making research playful and convenient. We're accessible on multiple chains. Of course, as an agnostic tool, we want to be on as many grounds as possible, and Ethereum, of course, being one of them. So this is the solution. This is how it works. But I will actually demonstrate it with the demo. This will be better and more convenient. But I just let's jump on the demo. I have a couple of examples ready, and here it is. Juan, just confirming if you see the homepage of Bubblemaps.
Yes,
awesome. Thank you. So this is the homepage. And I just want to talk about the Uniswap first, just so you understand the rules of the game before jumping on the Maker one, if that's okay. All right. Because it was on everyone's mind 2 weeks ago. So I just want to talk about this first. Look, This is the bubble map of Uniswap. And as you know, Uniswap is a DEX, but it's also a governance token. And what you can see on screen here are the top holders of Uni, where each bubble corresponds to a holder. Each bubble corresponds to a wallet address holding Uni. The bigger the bubble, the more you own. So this guy here is holder number 4 with 2.46% of the supply. This wallet there is A16Z. You will see in a second why it matters. And of course, as you go down the rankings, as you go down the holders list, bubbles become smaller and smaller. But then the best part is that you can see relationship between wallets. You can see hidden transfers between the holders of Uni. For example, we have a cluster here on the bubble map of Uniswap. And since we're on the Ethereum mode, links represent Ethereum transfer. So if I click here, show transfers, you will see that wallet 28, which is in the middle here, wallet 28 has been sending to Ethereum, respectively to 47, 116, and 119. And this is why they're connected. And, you know, surprisingly, when you see the connections between the holders, it adds so much context, and you can suddenly understand a whole new world of possibilities. If you only look at the Ethereum connections, it looks very good. It looks like there is no conglomerate of wallets. It looks well distributed, which is what you want to see for a decentralized, for a DAO. But when you look at the Uni transfers between the holders of Uni, this is where it gets juicy, right? You have a little bit more connections here, a little bit more to unravel. So just to make it clear, those are the exact same holders as before, the same bubbles, except now links represent Uni transfers as opposed to Ethereum transfers. So for example, we have this guy, wallet number 10, who's holding 1.1% of the supply, who's been sending 5 million Uni to 44, 2.3 million Uni to 72. And they're forming this little pink cluster here. And, you know, this is actually interesting because back in November 2022, when we look at the bubble map of Uniswap, we were quite alarmed by one cluster, and that happened to be the A16Z one. So in order to show you, I need to rewind the tape of Uniswap. And this is an interesting option that you have on Bubblemaps. You can follow a token distribution over time. As you have new holders, sellers, connections, it's dynamically changing. So let me go back 6 months ago, and let me introduce A16Z. Here they are. So look, what happened here is actually quite interesting. You have this wallet in the middle, 0xb04. Here it is, 0xb04, with 0.4% of the supply, who's been sending exactly 2.5 million Uni to all these wallets that are in the border. You can see they all have the same size, by the way. And 2.5 million Uni, it's not any amount. It's precisely the amount you need to submit a governance proposal. So as you know, because you're all part of MakerDAO, anyone cannot just submit a governance proposal. You need to have a certain amount of Maker. And this is the same for Uni. You need 2.5 million. So it was really pretty interesting for us to see that all these wallets had exactly the same amount, precisely the amount you needed. So that was the first thing. And then in order for the vote to pass, you need to reach a quorum first. This is the minimum amount. If it's not reached, there is no decision at all. And this quorum is 4% of the supply. This cluster alone has 4.15% of the supply. How convenient. So if I summarize, all these wallets can individually submit a governance proposal and collectively reach the quorum. So when we saw this the first time, we were impressed and intrigued. And the missing piece of the puzzle was, who is this wallet there? And we found out after a while, we crossed some information, and it's the wallet of A16Z. So that was pretty clear what was going on. They were distributing tokens for delegation, and we added the delegation later on, who they delegated to. So blockchain of Pennsylvania, GFX Labs, blockchain at Columbia University, blockchain at Michigan. But the thing is, the majority of the community assumed that A16Z were holding 1.5% of the supply, where instead they're holding 4.15. Now, I'm not saying they necessarily control all the voting power associated with this 4.15, But, are the delegates truly independent? What's the relationship between A16Z and those universities? That's an interesting debate, right? And I'd love to actually have this conversation with A16Z one day. Who knows? And so just to complete the story, what happened is that when a vote recently happened, there was a vote on should Uniswap bridge to BNB chain, and A16Z declined. Well, Uniswap said, CZ, excuse me, said Uniswap controlled by A16Z. And so we made this thread where we explained essentially, just to add a little bit of context, that A16Z were actually holding way more than 1.5%. And this sparkled a huge conversation. It was retweeted by many media outlets, and even CZ engaged with this content. So that was very interesting developments. But yeah, this is just one example. Juan, is it clear? This one in particular?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, Kianga was very enthusiastic about your presentation. I don't know, Kianga, if you want to comment on anything.
Hi, I was to say, I came across your thread. I didn't put two and two together with your presentation today. So now I'm really doubly excited because I thought it was very interesting what you had shared in your tweet thread. And so also great when someone has so much passion for this work. It's infectious.
Thank you so much. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to investigate.
Nikki, is it possible to name a selected wallet? Like if you believe, oh, this is, I don't know, delegate, I don't know, 3F good meta, like could you rename it on your, I don't know, account or instance or whatever you guys call it?
It is coming soon. Right now, we're the only one able to rename wallets. Because, once you open the gates to the public,
it's in the backlog.
In the backlog, and there's some privacy concerns, but it is coming soon, and we want to give the possibility to users not only to label wallets but also create their own bubble maps. Not necessarily the top holders, but if you have your own wallets that you want to import and transform this data into a bubble map, you could. So that's coming.
Nice.
But without further ado, let's jump on Maker, or shall we wait a little bit and show some other examples? Your call, Juan.
No, I think Kianga was mentioning that her popcorn is ready, so let's do it. Let's see what you have for Maker.
Let's see what we have. So here it is. By the way, it's unfortunate because I think a couple of days ago we added the delegates to your bubble maps, but I don't know why it was removed. I have to double check this. But recently we made this work where we really try to understand your delegates. But anyway, so this is the Ethereum version of your bubble map. So meaning you can see Ethereum transfers. And when you look at the Ethereum mode, again, similar to Uniswap, there's not a lot of connections. Like there is one here, which is between Qcoin and Qcoin. So, their hot wallets are sending each other Ethereum. It can be rebalancing. It can be just as a form of gas fee. So it's completely understandable. And here you have two wallets that are unknown, which send each other like 65,000 Ethereum. So probably the same person. Or when you see such a large amount being sent, you can safely assume that these wallets belong to the same person or entity. But obviously, when it comes to the DAO, the interesting part is not necessarily the Ethereum transfer or USDT, it's the MakerDAO. It's where you can see transfers of your native token between the holders of Maker. And now, so first I have to say, there is a bit less to uncover than Uniswap, which is good, right? Because it means it is more distributed to a degree. And also, full disclosure, there's always a degree of interpretation when it comes to understanding a bubble map. It's never a straight answer. You have to dive in and look at what you have. But here is an interesting one because you have a wallet number 116. So it seems to be a small holder, right, in your organization, which is suddenly sending large amounts of Maker to a series of wallets. You see 44,000 to wallet 3, 4,000 to wallet 40, 5,000 to wallet 90. So it's still some significant amount of Maker. And you also have this wallet there, 33, who again has been sending some amounts of MakerDAO. And the thing that we can do, similar to Uniswap, is to rewind the tape and see how your bubble map has evolved in real time. And the funny thing is that this cluster that I just showed was formed very recently, was about 1 month ago, right? Before that, that was not even here. So that's pretty cool to see. And look, if I rewind the tape again, 4 months ago, now you have this larger cluster here that is formed with back and forth amounts of Maker. And some of these wallets are actually centralized exchanges. This one was FTX, probably before the whole debacle and the collapse of FTX, but before this, it was there. And you can go back in time like this. I think with your bubble map, we can go 13 months ago. This wallet is probably Coinbase, by the way, most probably, because it has a high transfer volume. And all in all, your bubble map is pretty healthy. There is no big conglomerate of wallets. I have to say, you guys did everything correctly. Unfortunately,
So I can play a bit of devil's advocate, but some people have been publicly accusing Rune, which is one of the co-founders, of being like too centralized or hoarding too much power. So yeah, I don't know if there's any way of, and that's what I was wondering, if there's a way of editing names and seeing where the delegates are, because I think it would be cool to see that. But yeah, potentially I'm not following the on-chain data a lot, so I'm not I'm probably not the ideal counterparty to this talk. I don't know if Kianga or Frank have been following from a closer perspective, but yeah.
You know what we can do, Juan? Cool. You know what we can do? It's something that we're in touch with multiple projects right now who want to show transparency through Bubblemaps, because it's a nice way, a way that is quite understandable for the community to dive in your on-chain data. So what we can do, if you'd like, is making a cross post on Twitter. We share this, but with the support, the official endorsement of Maker, where we really try to dive in your bubble map and like go in depth about who is behind this cluster, who is behind this one, and try to break it down like a doctor. Cluster after cluster, we look at the cells and we see what's going on. That could be quite fun. Yeah, no, perfect. I mean, the core unit, or the, I don't know, guild, or I don't know how you guys call it, but the group that's in charge of the Twitter account from Maker is the growth core unit. So Nadia is the leader of that core unit. And potentially, I think Mamoun is the CMO of that core unit. So I think those would be two people to speak with regarding this, and they might be game. I think it's a good conversation to have. Sounds good. Yeah, you'll put me in touch after the call. If you want to, Juan, I can maybe show some other use cases, some other typical use cases that we found recently. Yeah, please. All right. Let me think which one I'm going to show you. I want to show you. All right. I want to show you. Oh, yes. Someone raised their hands. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, Frank, if you want to say something before Nikki goes on.
Yeah, just a quick question. Thanks for showcasing. It's pretty cool. With regards to privacy and zero knowledge proofs, you know, I would hope they're going to roll out one of these days. Maybe they're already rolled out, but if it becomes a thing where there's a need for privacy, the reason why I asked is because you brought up core units, and you know, individuals from core units deserve privacy, and they get vested MKR. And I've had, I'm not going to name names, but I've had you know, complaints about, you know, MKR being sold by those core unit team members. So how does this function with CKPs? Because I personally, I'm hoping CKPs can get here faster than anything else, because I believe in privacy. So.
Oh, so what's the question? Sorry.
How is this going to deal with CKPs? Because I'm hoping CKPs can kind of shield some of the privacy for individuals who need to, you know, pay taxes in the U.S. So they need to sell some of their MKR.
Well, ZK, they're still gonna, although ZK is protecting some data and you won't see as much, there's still gonna be a lot of on-chain data that is gonna flow around. So Bubblemaps is still gonna be relevant, if that's the question. I mean, we're anticipating a little bit, but of course ZK is, I think, is going to overtake a lot of the blockchains. Polygon is about to be ZK. Ethereum plans to be ZK at some point. So, but there's still going to be a lot of on-chain data, except maybe you won't have as much information on all the wallets, what they're doing, and everything, which is good in my opinion.
Yeah, nice.
I hope that answered the question, by the way.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, sure. Just I think privacy is just important. So you don't want people chasing down, Juan's wallet, right? Like, it's none of my business what Juan does with his MKR. But yeah, but thanks for that, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, my friend, of course. All right, let me show you an example, a fun one. Let's have some fun, because I showed you DAOs, right? DAOs governance. Let's see how one wallet made 5 billion in 2 years with Bubblemaps. Let's go. So I'm going to show you Shiba Inu. Where is this? Shiba Inu, here it is. All right, so this is the bar map of Shiba Inu. So again, this is the Ethereum mode. So you can see Ethereum relationship. And it's looking pretty good again. When you see the Ethereum relationship, you do have a little cluster there, but it essentially centralized exchanges who are communicating with each other. Gate.io, Crypto.com. Oh, and funny enough, do you remember? I think it was a couple of months ago when the centralized exchanges were making proof of reserves, and suddenly there's a big FUD because Crypto.com sent 500 million to Gate.io or something like that. Well, you can see this here. Gate.io sending 284,000 Ethereum to Crypto.com. And this is why they're forming this cluster there. So that was just a detail. So essentially this cluster is centralized exchange. And when you look on the native mode, and suddenly you see this very intriguing cluster. And it's very intriguing because of the wallets that are connected. I mean, look at this. Wallet 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And then 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So why are all these group of wallets connected? And cumulatively, they're holding 10% of the supply, 10% of the supply of a token that is worth 5 billion. So it is quite significant. And so we made a thread about this one. It was very, very enlightening. And what happened is that this wallet there, and you can see the funds are flowing from this wallet, by the way, then here and here. This wallet here bought $10,000 worth of SHIB day one. It was a fair launch in 2019 or 2020. No, 2019. And then, so he bought $10,000 worth. In 2 years, this 10K grew into $5 billion. So this big bubble, this was a singular bubble, had 5 billion of SHIB at some point in 2021. So at this point, because it was so large and under so much scrutiny, he decided to split his wallets for discretion, but also for security. And what he did is the following. He sent 10 trillion SHIB to all the wallets that are there on the left, and then 30 trillion here, 30 trillion, which he then split it with his 5 wallets there on the right. And you can see it very clearly how the funds are flowing across this cluster. I find it very, very clear here. So we made the threads. And the funny part is that a couple of days later, we received a Twitter DM by someone pretending to be this billionaire. And he said, all right, guys, I'm asking you to delete the thread because you've laid out the perfect blueprint for an attack. And it was an interesting conversation because then internally we thought, all right, like how on-chain data is compatible with privacy. And it's also related to your question that you just asked, my friend, about ZK, because indeed we did expose his wallets, right? However, I have to say myself that it was not really well hidden in the first place. I mean, it was not really the best way for me to hide wallets, but I must admit that it is revealing them in a very nice way, or in a very easy way. We didn't delete the thread, by the way, but it's still an interesting conversation.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know if there's any more questions. I think it's super cool, and and potentially useful. I don't know, Nick, if you want to, like, if anyone wants to use it, and they don't even need to be from Maker, right? So if anyone's watching and they want to have their own maps or start exploring and playing with the tool, what would be the process to get this done?
So the tool is free for the retail. We are purely B2B. So usually tokens, they get in touch because they want us to explore their supply, to share our observations online, and this is a paid service. For Maker, we will make an exception, all right? It's just for you. But usually this is a paid service. And yeah, this is what we do. So you can right now go on bubblemaps.io, app.bubblemaps.io. I can share the link on the chat if you want, and you can start exploring your favorite tokens, NFT collections. We're on multiple chains. Don't forget to have fun with the different modes there, because that reveals different time of connection. And also you can explore different time frame. We do have a premium service for the retail. If you'd like to explore it, like have complete access to the historical data, for example, but it's perfectly explained on the website how to get premium. And I see I just saw some questions in the chat. How much Maker is trapped at FTX? Right now, none.
Yeah.
Right now, there is no more. It was a long time ago.
Kianga or Tadeo, I don't know if you want to jump on the mic to get your voices on the recording.
Ooh, I love this question
from
Kianga. I'll answer after. Yes, hello.
Hey, no, just wondering, is it possible, I'm not sure, maybe I'm getting this wrong. Is it possible to visually identify like second or third order relationships? Because from what I see, this is first order. Oh, no, wait, sorry, this is second order already there. Basically, can you able to trace, let's say I create a wallet, I put MKR in it, and I make it jump 5 times. Can I easily see those 5 relationships, or you only look at the first, second orders?
So we've made Bubblemaps to be easily understandable, but it comes with some sacrifices. Sacrifices. So, for example, when you investigate a specific token like Shiba Inu, in order to see connections, there needs to be first the wallet needs to be in the top holders, right? So if one wallet has sold in the meantime, it's going to disappear from the map. And second, it needs to be direct transfer of either Ethereum or USDC or USDT. So let's say you have 3 wallets. You're sending Ethereum to the second one, and then from the second one to the third one. But in the meantime, the second one sell all his tokens. Then you're going to miss the relationship. And I know it's not perfect because you're missing out on some connections potentially, but at the same time, this is what makes it super convenient to use. If we want it to be thorough, that can easily get overloaded and overwhelming. So that's the idea. But we're working on 2 things to make it an exceptionally robust product. The first one, and it's a question that has been asked in the chat, is comprehensive historical data. So you could very soon you're going to be able to rewind the tape of a token since day 1, right? So like you take Shiba Inu or Maker, and you're able to see from day 1 how the token distribution has evolved. And there is a degree of, it's pretty poetic because it always starts with one bubble holding 100% of the supply. And then similar to the Big Bang, it expands to infinity as the token is distributed to the VCs, to the pre-sellers, to the private sellers, to the public. And imagine seeing this distribution evolving in real time, like a movie. That could be very nice. And the second, it's going to be having more liberty when creating your bubble map, as I said. So you can add your own wallets, even bubbles that are not holders right now. So then you wouldn't miss in the example that you gave, you wouldn't miss 2nd degree or 3rd degree connections. You just add them all on the bubble map.
That's cool. I feel like this is kind of like a tool that is way more accessible than, for example, breadcrumbs. Well, breadcrumbs would be for someone, let's say, more technical. This will be more for, yeah, easier to ask as a grasp. So maybe my second question doesn't really make sense. But thanks for that.
Of course, my friend. I do use breadcrumbs. Like sometimes breadcrumbs is a nice complement to Bubblemaps, because Bubblemaps is great for exploration. As I said, like you identify something that you want to dig in, and sometimes you want to have the bazooka, and I use breadcrumbs like to really dive deep into one specific wallet, and like where the funds came from, and etc. So the tools actually are nice and complementary, in my opinion. Like, is there customization? So I'm just reading the question. How does Bubblemaps differ from Nansen as far as visualization tooling? Nansen is not really a visual tool, I would say. They don't really have visuals in place for now. They do other stuff, you know. You can see you have the. I've been using Nansen, so I know the tool quite well. I think the main strength of Nansen is their labeling. They're super good in labeling. They have a lot of information on who the wallets belong to, which entity. I think that's really their main selling points. And also they have a lot of metrics. They have been really diving deep on liquidity pools and a lot of stuff that are very technical. They're great at what they do, but they don't have a lot of easy database. Is there customizable videos there? Nice.
And Kianga had another question. I'm not sure if I fully get it, Kianga, so feel free to interrupt.
The origin of token supply. So some of the large, now that was what struck me with one of your demos, was like, well, maybe that's not a person or an investor that's a billionaire, but it's the projects.
Absolutely, and this is, I agree, and this is why like the comprehensive historical mode is going to be so awesome, because then you can really rewind the tape and see the first movements of a token, so you'll know for sure like what is the origin wallets. And you know what we did recently, like with Bubblemaps, we've been following some launches. For example, the Blur launch, we've been following it hourly, even before the token was even live, as soon as there were some blockchain movements. And it's so crazy to see how it's evolving. Really, it's awesome. Like you can see how the deployers start sending funds to Wintermute trading, and then Wintermute, the market maker, starts sending tokens to centralized exchange, and you can see really the tokens being deployed and progressing and evolving, and it's super cool. It's like seeing, you know, a cell dividing, or a living organism.
Nice. Yeah, a feature potentially for your backlog, Nikki, but I think that's something that might be useful is if it's not only a tag, but also potentially changing maybe the shape, but like the border of the bubble, to make sure that, okay, everything that has like this light gray is a centralized exchange, so you kind of like visually ignore it. Or if it's like the smart contract or the genesis of the tokens, it can be different. In the case of Maker, I can think of a couple more, like as Kianga was saying, we have there's this MKR that that it kind of belongs to the DAO, so it's there sitting a bit, and then we're distributing it to contributors, so that could be, yeah, that could be cool. Oh, this one's nice.
Yeah, I agree. You know, right now the colors are just there for the eye, right, to make it compelling, but we can play around with the color, make them mean something as opposed to just being there. But yeah, like it has been so fun just discovering the tool and kind of building this library in my mind of which pattern corresponds to which behavior. This one was a botted NFT collection launch on Avalanche, so they had to cease their operation. They had to stop everything because someone managed to get half of their supply at launch. It was a free mint. And they went into the very long process of understanding what went wrong with their supply, like who managed to get all their NFTs. And they used Etherscan, and it took them days. But with Bubblemaps, you can see instantly, like at the middle here is the wallet of the hacker. He then created multiple secondary wallets to claim as much NFTs as he can, because there was some protection. You couldn't claim too much NFTs. And so these guys started to send Avalanche back and forth to these wallets as gas fee, and then to claim it back once it was done. And you can see this guy had 257 NFTs. So yeah, they had to cease operation. But the weird part is that when we make a thread about this one on Twitter, shortly after, they deleted their own Twitter accounts. which made me think, like, was this a hacker or was this their team? I was not quite sure after.
All right. So if anyone's a lawyer and they're watching this, go for Nikki. We have nothing to do with this. Yeah.
Yeah,
no, but
let me
jokes
know,
aside, jokes aside, I don't know if there's any more questions. Maybe Nikki, how to get a hold of you? What's the best way of reaching you and the team?
If you want to reach out, feel free to send a DM on Twitter at Bubblemaps, or on Telegram at Bubblemaps. We have a very what's the word? Colorful community of people who are exploring on-chain data and are super happy to help. So if you wanna reach out on Telegram, is the easiest way, the most straightforward. And again, follow us on Twitter. We regularly share some investigations with Bubblemaps. Recently, we made one about Suka, and their community was really not happy about what we found, but we have to accept the confrontational nature of our tool. It's sometimes we reveal some stuff and people would like it to keep silence, but it is how it is. And yeah, we usually share our findings online. Twitter and Telegram at Bubblemaps. Nice.
Kianga on the chat is already proposing a potential new capital or streams of income. So make sure that you compensate her at some point.
It's in the work. It's in the work. Don't worry.
Nice. All right. So if no one has any more questions, I think we can close it here. It's been super interesting, Nikki, to see the tool, see how it works, and yeah, potentially get to use it and explore different connections.
Of course, my friend. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a nice one, everyone.